There I am. What's going on, everybody? Mark Farzy here with the Farzy Show, presented by Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. Nice to have you along. We got a Phillies come-from-behind victory to talk about. We got some great defensive plays made by your Philadelphia Phillies and a feel-good game for Nick Castellanos, who ends up getting the game-winning two-run home run off former Philly, former Met. There's a lot of those former Mets these days, you know what I'm saying? David Robertson. So very nice win for the Phillies, although it took a long time to get there because Sandy Alcantara is really good at throwing baseballs. Really, really good at throwing baseballs. We have a day 4 training camp report for the Philadelphia Eagles. They had the pads on for the first time in practice yesterday at the NovaCare Complex. We have a competition that I don't think anybody was aware of. That's heating up. We'll get into that conversation. We'll get into the importance of Jason Kelce to Kenny Gainwell. Kenny Gainwell said that one of his biggest things about this offseason, he wants to improve upon his blocking ability. And we'll let you know how Jason Kelce plays into that. Also, Hassan Reddick, a little upset maybe about the way he's paid, but at least he's being, I guess you would say, a good employee over this and a good teammate as well. So we'll get into that conversation. We'll also talk about Nakobe Dean and the first thing he did that turned some heads yesterday. Had a conversation with Jody McDonald on Birds 365 following the Farzy show yesterday. And one of the things that everyone says about Nakobe Dean is that like he hasn't done anything to really make you pay attention. Like, he hasn't done great things. He hasn't done terrible things. And I think it was Jody McDonald attributing that take to our old friend Elliot Shore Parks, saying, like, he doesn't wow you, but he doesn't make you go, oh, he doesn't belong. Like, it's that kind of thing with Nakobe Dean. Apparently yesterday in one drill in particular, he was really showing off his instincts, his speed, and his agility. Those three things, put them together for a linebacker, you have yourself a pretty good linebacker. So we'll talk about that on the show today as well. And, of course, the MLB trade deadline comes and goes. Look, ladies and gentlemen, before I even talk about the Phillies, let's just talk about the Mets for a second here, okay? I don't know what the Mets got back in return. It's prospects, okay? I don't know what they're going to develop into. But right now, it's just a lot of fun to be able to point and laugh at the New York Metropolitans, especially when their trade deals that went through before the trade deadline end up benefiting the Philadelphia Phillies, most notably by David Robertson. Thank you, Mets, for trading David Robertson to the Phillies, who, of course, handed that win right to the Phillies yesterday in South Florida. What a sight it was to be seen in Miami yesterday. Let's talk about the Philadelphia Phillies and that trade deadline. Michael Lorenzen. I am happy, very happy the Phillies made this deal. I am not wowed. I didn't think that Dave Dombrowski was going to go out there and make a huge splash. But I will say, Tommy Pham going again for next to nothing. He got traded last year for a bucket of baseballs, okay? This year he gets traded for a 17-year-old shortstop prospect that wasn't even in the top 100 of anything. Bob Nightingale of USA Today described him as a fringe prospect. A fringe prospect. I think Tommy Pham would help this baseball team win. They opted not to go that direction. They opted for the only quote-unquote bat to get was Rodolfo Castro from the Pirates to essentially get a 12-year, the younger Josh Harrison. So now they have a new utility infielder to trot around the diamond. That's what they got. Hey, Gene Segura was just released after he was traded from Miami to the Guardians in exchange for Josh Bell. And I'd rather have Gene Segura, to be honest with you, than Rodolfo Castro. But now that I said that, watch him get a couple of walk-off hits for the Phillies in clutch pinch hit situations. But nonetheless, didn't understand that move. I would have rather just had Josh Harrison, but that's what they decided to do. The Michael Lorenzen deal, I do like. I like it a lot for a number of reasons. One, the obvious. He's a good pitcher. He's an all-star pitcher. He's had a long career already in the in Major League Baseball, and he's been with the Reds. He's been with the Angels, of course, now most recently with the Tigers before joining the Phillies now. He's got a history from Cincinnati with Caleb Cotham, the Phillies pitching coach, also their strength and conditioning coach. If you've heard that clip of Michael Lorenzen talking about it, he's excited to come here to Philadelphia, be reunited with those guys. Brandon Marsh, he's excited to be linked up with his old teammate from the Angels and Michael Lorenzen. Nick Castellanos also, they had some overlap there in Cincinnati as well. So he knows some guys. There's some familiarity in the clubhouse. He's a good pitcher. I am happy that the Phillies added a good pitcher. the role I see for him, now he's going to start tomorrow's game in Miami, the fourth game of this 4-game series. And I like the fact that he's going to be a starting pitcher for the Phils. I also like the fact that he's got that bullpen experience. I see him as a Matt Strahm role. Now, I'm not comparing him skill-wise, but I'm just saying that role of he's a guy that could be your 5th starter. He could be your 6th starter, which is essentially how the Phillies are going to be using him. And he could also be like Noah Syndergaard for you in the playoffs as well, where he can get you 2-3 solid innings. And he can also do that as the season goes on as well. If you start playing playoff games a little early, that last week of September, first week of October, it's a little crunch time. You need an opener, maybe. Maybe he's the guy that does that. So I like the idea of adding a starting pitcher to this rotation. Aside from the role that he's going to play, the Noah Syndergaard, Matt Strahm role, where he could be the opener / starter / relief pitcher. The other reason I like it is that, bottom line, I heard Ricky Bo talking about this as well. It's actually, I think, a really smart move by Dave Dombrowski. By adding a starting pitcher and expanding the rotation, you're going to give more of a rest to Zach Wheeler. You're going to give more of a break to Aaron Nola. And look at it like this. I don't have a lot of confidence in Aaron Nola this year. Okay, and I'm not in rarefied company. I'm not in rare company when I say that. Nobody has a lot of confidence in Aaron Nola right now. So you got to change something. If that's give him more rest, if that's the only thing they can do, if they can somehow make sure he's got 6 days instead of just 5 days between starts, then I'm all for it. If that's what he needs to do to turn the tide of August and September and early October and then through October, if that's what needs to be done, then fine. I am 1,000% fine with it. I know some other people. The same thing could be said for Zach Wheeler. The same thing could be said for Ranger Suarez, who pitched a great game last night. 10 hits, but I guess he didn't have a bellyache, so he stayed in the game, which I am fine with. I'm still salty about the Jonathan Sanchez thing. But anyway, Ranger Suarez pitched well. Taijuan Walker has pitched well. These guys have done their job, the back end of the rotation. The early guys in the rotation, Zach Wheeler, inconsistent, although seems to be riding a good wave right now. We'll see if he can continue to ride that wave tonight in Miami. Aaron Nola, as we all know, has really struggled this season. It seems to be just overall one of those down years. And maybe in years past, pre-Dave Dombrowski, Aaron Nola needed to get 6 days between starts on a regular basis. And maybe that's what Dave Dombrowski is trying to do. If he can wave a magic wand, he would give his pitchers more rest between starts and in hopes that allows them to reach the potential we have seen them reach before. That's the hope. And that's what he's betting on. He's also betting on, and this is what he said after the trades went down, they explored other avenues in terms of adding a right-handed outfielder, and he said there weren't many right-handed outfielders available. What is a lot? Because there's like at least 4 that went in the last 2 days that, some people could have helped. The thing could have helped the Phillies a little bit. The AJ Pollock, I told you guys, wasn't that really crazy about it, but he was a right-handed bat. Mark Hanna from the Mets, another former Met, como sa, whatever. I wasn't that big on that. Tommy Pham, also a former Met, probably the best one that went. So yeah, there was some right-handed bat. Randall Grichuk, there were some right-handed bats. 2 of those names probably could have helped the Phillies. But he opted not to make that trade. Instead, he is betting on the players that are already here. Now, I told you guys going into yesterday, the quote that lived rent-free in my head, the quote that was on repeat, on loop in my head, was now 2 weeks ago. Dave Dombrowski's addressed the media talking about how Johan Rojas could be the right-handed bat that the Phillies needed. Johan Rojas could be that guy. Christian Pache could be that guy. I think what Dave Dombrowski did yesterday was very helpful, will be very helpful for the starting rotation. And I think what Dave Dombrowski did yesterday is a kick in the ass to this offense. Now, how do they do that? What is he, shaking things up with Rodolfo Castro? No. He's saying, hey, guys, you're it. I'm not getting anybody here that's going to save your ass. The only person that can save your ass is you. The only person that can save your teammates' ass is you. So go out there and do it. So maybe this is a relaxation period for the Phillies where they go, I'm not getting traded, or I'm not losing my spot in the lineup. It's up to me now. They take that pressure off themselves, and they're able to go out there and, I don't know, hit a 2-run home run to win a baseball game. Thank you, Nick Castellanos. Now, is his job ever in jeopardy? No. But Dave Dombrowski challenged his team yesterday. He challenged a $243 million payroll to go out there and earn it. He went out there and challenged Kyle Schwarber, Bryce Harper, Nick Castellanos, Trey Turner. He's challenging all these guys. And he's saying, guess what, guys? We have a talented team. We've underachieved to this point. We should be better than what we are. Go out there and start overachieving. Nick Castellanos is a guy that hadn't hit a home run since July 19th. And he comes out yesterday after a day off, and he gets the Phillies a win. Bryce Harper, another clutch hit in the ninth inning. We'll go through last night's game, but bottom line, this is the reaction to the trade deadline. Phillies are now game up in the wild card standings, along with the San Francisco Giants, who they're about to face as well, bringing Gabe Kapler back. But looking at the Phillies last night against Sandy Alcantara, that was rough. Looking at them in the ninth inning, that's what you hope you see more of. We've all talked about the Phillies being a better baseball team than what we've seen. We've talked about the Phillies being organized in a much better fashion than what Rob Thompson and Dave Dombrowski has decided to organize them, how they've decided to organize them in terms of the batting order, in terms of the positions. I'm eagerly awaiting a time where Bryce Harper can go out there and play just about every day at first base, because I'll tell you right now, it's a much better brand of baseball when Yohan Rojas is in center field and Brandon Marsh is in left field. Brandon Marsh was all over the place yesterday. If he's in the corner outfield spots, wherever it may be, left field especially, because that's where he's going to get most of the reps, especially if Nick Castellanos is back, baby, especially if he's back. But you mean to tell me Yohan Rojas in center field and Brandon Marsh in left isn't a sight for sore eyes? Guys, I'm 40 years old. I have not seen many good defensive left fielders in my life for the Philadelphia Phillies. Even when I was a wee pup, love you, Bull, but like you weren't exactly like really getting around there in left field. But like, come on, in my lifetime, that's just in my lifetime. I don't even remember watching Bull play. I was 2. It's crazy to think about it like that. I have not seen people run around left field with speed the way I see Brandon Marsh running around left field. This is like I find myself doing double takes. Like what's that? That was the Phillies in the field, right? Okay. All right. Brandon Marsh sliding grab. Brandon Marsh going back. Brandon Marsh going side to side. Brandon Marsh making it to balls that you just haven't seen left fielders make it to in Philadelphia pretty much ever. Let's put Rhys Hoskins out there as a first baseman. Let's just try him out there and see what he does. Remember when Vince Velasquez played left field and was like good? Anyway, so that's better, having the outfield set up like that. Kyle Schwarber's not moving off the leadoff spot. I think everyone just needs to swallow that pill, okay? And you know what? They tend to win a lot of games or make it to a World Series when he's your leadoff hitter. Alec Bohm batting second has been a sight for sore eyes over the last 2 days. A sight for sore eyes over the last 2 days. And I told you guys yesterday that after the first game of the series against the Marlins, when Nick Castellanos had the day off and Alec Bohm was batting second, that Rob Thompson came out after the game. He was asked about potentially having Alec Bohm back in the 2 spot. And he said, oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I can see it. Yeah, I can see it happening. He didn't give me the coach speak. He didn't say, oh, I got to talk to these guys. I got to talk to those other people. Yeah, maybe, potentially, maybe. You know what he said? He said, yeah, for sure. I took that as tomorrow, meaning last night, he was going to do that. And sure enough, when the lineup came out, I took a look at it, and I went, attaboy, Topper. We're getting it. We're getting it. Now, he did go with the lineup that we talked about yesterday in terms of having Schwarber and Bohm and then Harper and then Castellanos and then Stott. Stott had a bit of a weird game last night. He hit the ball hard 4 times. I think lined or flew out to left field 4 times. But JT Realmuto wasn't batting 6th last night because he had a hole in his hand if you didn't see it the previous night, either the blister or whatever it was opened up, so all of a sudden he had to get out. Apparently, the way it went down was after Rob Thompson said, "Yeah, well, I think JT will be okay." Or 2 nights ago, I think JT will be okay. The trainer walked in after the press conference and be like, "Oh yeah, he's not okay." So they needed to give him a day off. And Garrett Stubbs, we'll talk about all the great things he did last night because he was fantastic in last night's ballgame. But bottom line, I really liked that lineup last night. I really liked that lineup. Now, you'll get JT in there, and hopefully, he'll get it going again. And that'll certainly help the Phils. But that, I think, is with the trade deadline, not making a big move for a bat, not changing your lineup significantly. I think it's still going to come down to Bryce Harper improving at first, continuing to play at first base for as much as possible. Even though last night he had his first play where he looked like a guy who hadn't been playing first base a lot. We'll talk about that in a second. But Bryce Harper goes out there and goes out there more often at first base. Kyle Schwarber is just your designated hitter more often, and Brandon Marsh is in left field more often. Those three things right there are some pretty big changes from the norm that we have seen so far this season. They get that, and then somehow a better rested rotation helps you push through the month of August, September, and into October, and then into deep October for some playoff baseball. Then we could be talking about a Phillies team that could return to the form that we saw them at last year. So I'm going to be waiting for that with bated breath and hoping that happens. Just like I was hoping through 8 innings of baseball that Sandy Alcantara would just say, I think I'm done here. And then the Phillies are going to crack at somebody else who's not as good as the Cy Young Award winner. And sure enough, they did. David Robertson struggled to keep pitches inside the strike zone, and it gave the Phillies an opportunity there in the 9th, to which they capitalized on. But before that, let's get into the game last night in its entirety. Just like the previous game, just like game 1 of this 4-game series against Miami, the Phillies started off hot and then wah. If T-Bro caught that, he'd like the no soundboard there. But anyway, first inning, Kyle Schwarber, leadoff single. Alec Boehm followed with a single. Runner on first and second. Nobody out. Then Bryce Harper goes into the 4-6-3 double play. Cool. Then Castellanos grounds out to third base. So there you go. Bottom of the first inning, Phillies were able to get out of a base-loaded jam, so that's good. Harper had a little misplay there at first base. It was the first time. He over-pursued a ball to cut off Bryson Stott at second, and then basically from second base tried to throw out, I forget who it was that was running. It wasn't Gurriel. Tried to throw out at first base with a little toss to Ranger Suarez covering first, and he threw it too high. First off, he over-pursued, so he didn't play his position. And then he had a really weak toss for what was going to be a lot closer of a play. And, that's just the experience. No damage there. Nobody was hurt in terms of no runs scored, so it was still nothing. Then in the second inning, Ranger Suarez finds himself into a little bit of a jam. And Garrett Stubbs says with one out, I got you. Little dribbler hit in front of the plate with a runner on first. Garrett Stubbs goes up there, picks it up about 3 feet in front of home, does not throw to first just to get the second out of the inning. You know what he does? He goes to second to try to turn 2. Garrett Stubbs found out before the game that he was getting the start. Out of nowhere, just jumps up, grabs the ball, fires a second, fires a first. They turn 2. They get out of the inning right there in the second. Then in the third inning, Garcia gets that RBI single. So the Phillies are in trouble. They're now down 1-0. You have a runner on second and third with 2 outs. Boehm saves a run by diving to his left, I believe it was. If he doesn't make a dive on that play and get that baseball and able to go to first to get birdie to retire the side, the Phillies are down 3-0 in that third inning. Boehm saved 2 runs on that play, and things could have got out of hand quickly for the Phillies, but he made that play. Then in the 7th inning, and I didn't hear anybody talk about this. If you caught the post-game show, you know what I'm about to say. If you caught Fighting's post-game on the Jacob Media YouTube channel, then you already know what I'm about to say. I say this about Garrett Stubbs all the time. The guy could have easily been, 3 for 4 last night with that double? He had 2 balls on the screws right at Gurriel at first base, and Gurriel made 2 diving stops. But arises at the plate. Stallings, I think, led off the inning with a walk. Arise steps up to the plate, runner on first, and puts a ball into the right field corner. The ball sticks under the wall in right field. A little crevice, right? The little crevasse the bottom of the wall there. Nick Castellanos has to go to the wall. Meanwhile, Stallings, who runs like he's coming up out of quicksand, is going around the bases. And the whole time, Tom McCarthy's doing the play-by-play. And I'm like, he's going to score on this. Like, the Phillies aren't getting him on this. Castellanos relays it to, throws it to Stott. Stott turns and fires and throws it to Garrett Stubbs. Stallings is coming down the third base line. Out of nowhere, Stubbs catches the throw from Stott and does the sweep tag like a first baseman on the legs of Stallings, and he gets him out. That run should have scored. It didn't score. It didn't score for two reasons. One, Castellanos made a great throw to Stott. Stott made a great throw to three reasons. Stott made a great throw to Stubbs. And then the cherry on top, what I think absolutely saved that run, the last line of defense was Garrett Stubbs. Jorge Soler was on deck. Usually, what you're supposed to see is if you're an offensive player and you're Stallings in this situation and you're rounding third, you're supposed to be looking at the guy on deck, and he's supposed to be like, get down, slide, get down. And he does it. I went back and watched for this, all right, because I was going back and forth with some people on Twitter, and Soler is like this. He's for the people on the podcast, I am just simply pointing. Like, I don't know if he was pointing. I don't know if he was. I just yelled at the podcast voice. I'm sorry if I just blew out the podcast ears. All right. Soler's behind the plate, and he's just pointing. And I don't know if he's pointing at Arise, like, hey, you the man, because Arise is going to third. Hey, you the man. I don't know. Or if this is his subtle way of telling Stallings, hey, you should probably slide right now. Whatever it was, it just looked like, you might want to slide. I don't know why I gave him an English accent. But that's what it looked like. It looked not very forceful. Dainty. It looked dainty. Looked like he was ordering tea, right? And Stallings. So anyway, back to the point. I love when I distract myself with my idiot Family Guy brain. But anyway, Stallings rounding third. Stubbs is standing there at home plate, and this is the last line of the fence. This is what I think made the play and really prevented the run. Stubbs is standing there, and he's not crouched like the ball's coming. He's not telegraphing to Stallings, hey, there's going to be a play at the plate. You better slide. No, he's just standing there like, oh, God, take forever. Ball there, tag, out. Stubbs is standing there, just cool as a cucumber. Standing there at home plate. Stallings is coming home, and I guess never felt like he had to slide. If he slides, he's probably scoring that run, and it's a 2-0 lead at that point. And then that's also another out that then the bullpen has to get, because they did go to the bullpen, and Junior Marte came in the ball game, and he was able to get out of the jam as well. But with one more out, you don't know what could have happened. Could have been one more run scored, no outs, runner on third. That's the situation you are looking at. Stubbs deked Stallings into not sliding. I say it all the time about Garrett Stubbs, man. He's a ball player. He's a ball player doing ball player things. And damn, he was robbed of a couple of hits yesterday. But that was a phenomenal play by Garrett Stubbs. Second, to the young catchers out there, that's how you play it, kids. I mentioned Sandy Alcantara, how great he was yesterday. He really was. His last 14 2/3 innings against the Phillies, 1 run, 12 hits, 1 walk, 10 strikeouts. He's had his way with the Phillies. I know a lot of people looked at that April start that he had against the Phils where he got hit around. That was going to be few and far between. And his last 14 2/3 innings have certainly proven that. So I was just waiting. I had that feeling of that like Corbin Burns start against the Brewers a couple of weeks ago, where Corbin Burns just came in and threw 8 innings, allowed, I think, 2 hits. It was a 2-hit shutout through 8 innings. And it was just like, oh, yawn. See you guys. I'm out. And nobody could get a hit. It was like the Phillies shouldn't even gotten out of bed that day. That's how it felt against Sandy Alcantara, especially when they didn't capitalize on some opportunities early in the ballgame. So once David Robertson came in, I felt like the Phillies were really going to have a chance here. Just get the Cy Young Award guy out of there, and just have at it, boys. So Kyle Schwarber goes up there and he works a walk. There's a questionable pitch that he didn't let frustrate him. It was a ball called a strike. He hung in there, worked the walk. Alec Boehm comes up to the plate. And yes, he struck out, swinging at a slider that was low and out of the zone. But it was a 7-pitch at bat. Schwarber had a 7-pitch at bat. Boehm had a 7-pitch at bat. Boehm laid off a couple of pitches there to force a full count, which was great to see from Alec Boehm. And then Bryce Harper came up and just did a Bryce Harper thing. It just feels like when the Phillies are really cooking, he's a guy coming up in close games especially, and he is driving the ball into the outfield to get those late RBIs. The man has been clutch since coming back to help the Phils. So he bangs a double off the left field wall. It's a tie ball game. Jake Cave ends up scoring on that one as he pinch ran for Kyle Schwarber. Then Nick Castellanos steps up, and just as he said after the game, he was just trying to look and what did he say? Be soft up there. That's what he said after the game. I just wanted to go up there and be soft. If he was soft, I don't know what the hell hard would be, because he smacked the hell out of that pitch into left field, into the left field stands, into the hair club. Is that what they call it? In the old place, it was the Clevelanger, whatever it was called. It was that. I've actually been to that bar in Miami. But anyway, he puts the ball into the stands, and all of a sudden it's a home run. It's a 2-run home run. Phillies have a 3-1 lead. Sir Anthony Dominguez gets the call to close it out, and he does it in 1-2-3 fashion. It was a get-right game, I feel, for Nick Castellanos, and it was a get-right game for Sir Anthony Dominguez coming in that 9th inning and handle that business as well. Hopefully it's just a taste of things to come for the Phillies, as they need to have a hot June to make us all feel nice and warm and toasty heading into the month of September, and then later in October as well. So a great win for the Phillies right there. Absolutely love it. They'll be back at it tonight. Zach Wheeler will get the start for the Phillies, and he'll go up, boop. Where the heck did I put that thing with the thing and the guy and the thing? There it is. Braxton Garrett, the left-handed pitcher, will get the start. He's 5-3 on the season with a 4.08 ERA. Zach Wheeler gets the start for the Phillies. 8-5 on the season. Come on now. There we go. No. Be nice, computer, as I boomer the hell out of this. Zach Wheeler, 8-5 on the season with a 3.74 ERA. And, of course, in his last couple of starts, he has certainly returned to form. 13 2/3 with 7 hits. 8 hits and 2 earned runs in his last 2 starts. So he has certainly looked like the pitcher that we have gotten used to here in Philadelphia. Hopefully get used to it again. Eagles training camp. Oh, no, wait, hold on. How do I go without doing this? I got to do this. I got to show you, I got to do the thing with the wild card standings. Here we go. Giants still at the number 1 spot. Phillies are just a half game behind the Giants, but occupying the 2nd wild card spot. Brewers right now occupy the 3rd wild card spot. Marlins a game out. Diamondbacks a game out. Cubs 3.5 games out. You see Ben Lively get shelled yesterday for the Reds? Yeah, that's right. Former Philly Ben Lively got shelled by the Cubs there yesterday. And the Padres are 5 games out, and the Mets, you can kind of see it there at the bottom, 7 games out of a wild card spot. Just point and laugh. Just point and laugh. Ladies and gentlemen, training camp. They had pads on yesterday. That means you can actually tell some stuff about maybe your linebackers, your offensive linemen, your defensive linemen. Cam Jurgens came out yesterday. A couple of news and notes that I wanted to get to from camp yesterday. Cam Jurgens came out and said that, Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, glad they're on our team. Those guys are some big boys that are very difficult to throw around. They are going to give offensive linemen fits this season. I am here for it. I am ready for it. Cam Jurgens very excited to put the pads on to get a real test of strength to some of his new teammates. They're going to be banging against him for the entire season. So that's a good little note. Nakobe Dean, they had a blitzing drill yesterday. And apparently this is one of the first times that Nakobe Dean really grabbed attention. His instincts apparently really shone through. His speed was really shown through in terms of getting after the quarterback, as well as getting after running backs in the backfield, and also agility. That was really shown off yesterday. That was the first time people actually looked at Nakobe Dean and went, okay, let's see what you got. I said yesterday with Jody McDonald on Birds 365 that if I'm buying stock with anyone, if I'm buying stock with a linebacker right now, I'm buying stock into Kobe Dean. I am definitely buying stock into Kobe Dean and what he could bring to the table defensively for this Eagles team. Absolutely love it. I'm excited for it and very happy to see that note yesterday. One thing that I did find really interesting yesterday was Brian Johnson's press conference. Brian Johnson has called plays at the college ranks, but he hasn't called plays at the professional ranks, okay? So that is concerning. So what's going on with the Philadelphia Eagles at practice to help Brian Johnson? Now, this isn't the joint practices. We still got 10 days before a preseason game. So we're really not going to see Brian Johnson call plays. So what is Nick Sirianni doing to try to get his offensive coordinator and play caller a little bit of work, a little bit of experience at the pro level calling plays? Well, apparently he's taken that into consideration when it comes to the training camp schedule. Here's a couple of questions that were directed at Brian Johnson yesterday. He also has some interesting things to say about Jalen Hurts. We'll get to that in a second. But here is Brian Johnson talking about how comfortable he is with calling plays, how comfortable he is in that position, and how comfortable he is so far in training camp as the Eagles' new offensive coordinator.
I think Coach Sirianni does a great job of setting a schedule in training camp and allowing for some of those call-up periods and setting up practice in a manner where you have to have some reactionary calls, and he'll blurt out situations, and you got to be ready to go. And that's not just, to me, that's not just on the practice field. I mean, that happens same thing in the meeting room and team meetings. So, I think the organization is set up in a way to where it helps you and gets you ready to go.
Where's your level of comfort been in those situations when you have?
Yeah, well, I think I'm extremely comfortable calling plays, but ultimately, like we're executing the vision that we have for the offense throughout the course of the week. And being here the last 2 years and understanding exactly how things are operated, understanding exactly how Coach Sirianni wants things done, I think has been vital for me for sure.
Coach Sirianni. That's what Brian Johnson had to say yesterday about his role with this offense and calling plays, extremely comfortable. He said all the right things. He hit all the right notes. I do find it interesting, though, that Sirianni is taking into account. It's like, hey, I got this guy in Brian Johnson that hasn't called plays in the NFL. You're not really going to get that experience in training camp, but what can I do to try to get him a little bit of the right now, call play. Do something right now. You have to react in the drill. It's not game day, it's practice, right? It all boils down to all this is just practice. But the players aren't the only ones that need practice and experience. And to be able to build up some of that confidence, gain from that experience, and be able to go into game day and then apply it. It's also your coordinators. I loved hearing that. I thought that was a testament to Nick Sirianni more so than anything. Brian Johnson telling me he's extremely comfortable. Great. I want him to be comfortable. I want him to feel confident in what he's doing. You can't be a timid play caller in the NFL. That doesn't get anywhere. So hearing him talk about it like that is a good sign. Also, as far as his comments on Jalen Hurts yesterday, yes, they've known each other for a long time and all that, and I know people want to make a big deal of that. But he said two things in particular. The first thing I want to talk about is it kind of answers a question that I've been asking of a lot of the beat reporters that we'll have on, or I don't want to get a chance to talk to about the Eagles. If you're Jalen Hurts, you're in the pursuit of perfection. What can I perfect about my game? And one of the things I've said that has cost him in terms of a more credible reputation around the NFL is just the fact that he hasn't done it enough. He's had one great year. All right, that doesn't make a quarterback's career. It's one great year. 2 good years, at least good, and 1 great. First year as a starter, pretty damn good. Led us team to the playoffs. Last year, upgraded from good to great. So what does he need to do? And this is what Brian Johnson talked about yesterday. Basically gaining from the experience. So the other way to say that is he's now started 2 years for the Eagles. He's gained experience over those 2 years. And that's what Brian Johnson talked about yesterday is the experience that he's had now. And from what I got out of Brian Johnson's message is if Jalen Hurts really wants to improve and take that next step, then be a guy that has learned from 3 years in the league and now 2 years as a starting quarterback. In other words, apply the experience. It's everything you've learned, everything you've adapted, every morsel of experience that you had, whether that be the bubble screens that I pointed out in Arizona against the Cardinals during the regular season that became a little bit of an issue, but still helped the Eagles move the ball downfield, whether that be a better decision maker when it comes to that mesh point of the read option, whether that be just throwing to your guys in the flat, throwing to your running backs a little bit, living to play another day, living to play another down. Apply the experience that you've now gained. And, you know, it's something that you almost take it for granted because you want to talk about, you know, physical attributes. You want to talk about something in a game, a strategy. You want to talk about something like last year, not being able to throw the deep ball with enough accuracy. You're not being able to, you know, break down a defense as quickly as he should as a starting quarterback in the NFL. Those are all things that he obviously did much better last year. So you want to talk about, you want to point at something like that. But overall, where you could really become a better quarterback is simply applying the experience, applying what you learned from now 2 years as a starter in the NFL and now 3 years under your belt in the NFL. Jalen Hurts with the smarts of experience, with the advantage of experience. Oh, yeah, that'll be a big reason for a big leap forward. Another leap forward for Jalen Hurts. I've said it before. It's not just about winning MVPs. If he wins an MVP award, great. That's certainly a step up from last year, being the runner-up. You win a Super Bowl? Fantastic. We all get a party. We all get a parade. But I think with him applying the experience, gaining knowledge from the experience, that's ultimately will make him a better quarterback. And Brian Johnson going off on that yesterday, I felt was really, really, really interesting. The other thing he said was just the overall mindset of Jalen Hurts, and yes, his dedication to his craft is off the charts. And knowing him since he was 4 years old, he has certainly had a front row seat to watching that maturation process with Jalen Hurts. But he did give us a Book of Hurts excerpt. And I got to get a gong on this show or something because the guy's just doling out wisdom. But apparently one of the things Jalen Hurts told Brian Johnson about his hard work is that he didn't go through the smoke. Jeez. I knew I was going to mess it up. What? Take two. We'll edit that out. No. One of the things he did tell Brian Johnson was he didn't go through the fire just to smell the smoke. And like, some of this stuff from Jalen Hurts, you call me Sappy Pappy, whatever you want. But like, it gives me chills, man. It gives me chills. And that's what he had to say about Jalen Hurts and his work ethic. I didn't go through the fire just to smell the smoke. And on that note, yesterday I mentioned that story about Jalen Hurts having the background, the lock screen on his phone from him walking through the confetti at the Super Bowl. I thought that was in public. It wasn't. My apologies. That was at a team thing. Still weird. Everything I said still applies, but I just wanted to make sure I had the right context. It was a teammate that took the picture. Zooming in on a phone is still weird to me. But anyway, that's where he's at. So that's from training camp. Oh, hold on. Kenny Gainwell. I am rooting hard for Kenny Gainwell, man. I really hope he gets a huge role in this offense. Him and DeAndre Swift, I really hope they literally take the ball and run with it, right? Well, yesterday, Kenny Gainwell was asked about what he wants to be, what he wants to improve on in his game. And it just comes down to listening, basically, when he talks about a certain part of his offensive game.
Any part of my game I want to improve in? I'll probably say my blocking aspect, just want to be more firm, want to be more smooth, knowing the points from Kelsey, knowing everything I had to do from Lane to Jordan, just want to be more smooth on just pass protection. Listening to Kelsey. Like we got a motto right now in our running back room. Listen to the damn center. So that's all we got to do.
Listen to the damn center, and you'll be good to go. All right, that's fine. Maybe technique we work on that. Hey, look, Brian Westbrook, LaShawn McCoy, and now Kenny Gainwell, I guess. Miles Sanders also. All these guys, they had to improve upon blocking as their careers went on. And they did improve as their careers went on. So Kenny Gainwell is now on that part. I love the fact that he's a guy that's just going to be taking over a more substantial role in this offense. And he's still worried about, still concerned about being able to throw a good block to help his quarterback or maybe spring somebody else free. Love to hear that. Also, I teased it earlier, ladies and gentlemen. Apparently, there's been a big training camp battle that we haven't even talked about it. Oh, baby. Haven't even talked about it. I'm not talking about Christian Ellis and, Nicholas Morrow. Oh, no. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about, Sidney Brown and Terrell Edmonds and, Reed Blankenship, who is still one of your starting safeties, okay? Kayvon Wallace is getting reps. How about that as well? I'm not talking about Cam Jurgens and Tyler Steen. No. I'm not talking about that. You know what I'm talking about? Do you know what I'm talking about? Sexiest Eagle. Didn't even know it was a competition. Apparently, it's between Avante Maddox, who's in the foreground, and Darius Slay, who's in the background. Big battle. Who's the sexiest Eagle?
And trust that in the slot. No, I'm the sexiest dude alive. Why you lying? You number 2.
No, I'm number 1.
You number 2. You take number 3, huh? All right.
All right. I'm sorry. Sexiest alive. I thought it was just the Eagle. No. Sexiest alive. So I guess obviously, if they're 1 and 2 and they're fighting over that, then I guess I'm 3rd. Ray Fitzgerald, you're probably 4th. I don't know. Sean Kilrain, maybe you're battling it out there with Ray. I don't know. Gillespie, you're probably battling it out there too. And April's just looking at us like, keep trying, fellas. Anyway, I just love to hear these guys having fun early. I'll tell you what, look, I didn't go to Vegas at the time. I didn't go to Vegas and place $1 million bet on the Eagles after I did this. But walking around the locker room in 2017, talking to a lot of those guys, the atmosphere, and look, they were winning. But even in training camp, there was just something about that team that they were close. They had each other's backs. They enjoyed playing with one another. There was something about that team that was like, this is going to be a good year. Again, it's not, this is a Super Bowl because people are nice to one another. No, it was just like, this is going to be a special team. And the team I always think about with that is the 93 Phillies. Now, they didn't win it all. Okay, we all know the end of that story. But there was just something about that team that year that everybody talks about. There's something in spring training. There was something in the air, like they were about to go get something done. And when you see guys having fun with one another, when you see guys keeping it light, when you see guys, just act the way they've been acting so far in the first 4 real days of training camp, it's a great sign. It's a great sign that it seems like everybody's on the same page. Now, Hassan Reddick's story that came out yesterday, it was Hassan Reddick talking about, being underpaid. Yeah, the guy's underpaid. It doesn't seem like it's going to be anything that's going to be a distraction for him. He's going to keep going out there, and he's going to keep trying to get after the quarterback. And hearing his comments and reading his comments and going into it a little bit yesterday, the guy's a phenomenal athlete. The guy's a phenomenal pass rusher. The guy is just defensive player of the year candidate. Certainly. He's not going to let it phase him. He's just going to go out there and he's going to be a great teammate. Temple made, baby. Temple made. See Temple's new logo, by the way? They got the spread wings of the owl now. That's exciting. Let me tell you about Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers, the other corner of 8th and Walnut, right there on Jewelers Row. For over 40 years, Steven's been in the love business in Philadelphia, helping people get engaged and fall in love. So trust the man with the perfect price. Online at IHateStevenSinger.com. That's IHateStevenSinger.com. Now, what's the perfect price? I'll tell you what the perfect price is. The perfect price is where other jewelers would market things way up just to knock it down a couple of $100 in front of you, make you feel like you're a great negotiator, right? But they put you through that pressure to feel like you had to negotiate. At Steven Singer, you sit down, you get comfortable, and you get treated like a real family member by a real jewelry expert at the other corner of 8th and Walnut. Steven Singer Jewelers. One place, one price. Online at IHateStevenSinger.com. That's IHateStevenSinger.com. How about Manscaped, the leader in below-the-waist grooming? Join 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped and their skin-safe technology that helps reduce the risk of nicks so you can manscape with confidence and comfort. So check out Manscaped at Manscaped.com. You'll love all they have to offer. How about the amazing people at Freestone Farm CBD? FreestoneFarmCBD.com. You'll love their tropical tasting Bayox that clocks in at a chart-topping 24.1%, and Super CBD, which is half Hindu, Kush, and 21%. Genetics of these guys are off the charts. So try Freestone Farm CBD at FreestoneFarmCBD.com. Flies in the studio. Yeah. How about PHL Sports Nation? Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That's PHLSportsNation.com. Let's get to the chat check on the Farzy Show page. What's going on? April. Good morning, April. Ring the bell. You're right. Sean Kilray, good morning. Good morning, Sean Gillespie. Good morning, Sean Kilray. We get that kid that lost his cell phone running to third base. Ha ha ha. Wait, what? What did I miss? Because there was a guy running out in the field last night. I don't know if he ran. I don't know if he lost his cell phone, but apparently he was a big acrobat. I think Corey Simon tweeted out it was some good hardcore parkour. Hardcore parkour. Sean Kellerman would love to give JT some play at first, since catching every day. Just thought you'd agree, Farzy. I do agree, Sean. Thank you. One of the things I loved about JT Realmuto, especially when he first came to the Phillies, is like, you need a first baseman? I'll play first. Have you played first? No. The guy's a state champion quarterback, best catcher in baseball. The guy's an athlete, folks. The Don, JT Realmuto, Don Muto, is out there. He can play first base for you, but I'd rather see JT out there than, Jake Cave. Tell you that. So there you go. Sean Kilran, we're going with a 6-man rotation. Oh, yes, we are. Mia Sanchez, the big hit. That big hit better get Nick going. Scooby-Doo is a superhero. Ring the bell. I'd love to see it. I'd absolutely love to see it. I wanted to check something out here with you guys, as a matter of fact, and hopefully I can do this in a very quick manner, because if I don't do it in a quick manner, I will be upset with myself. But Zach Wheeler, do they keep track of this on ESPN? They do not keep track about this on the old ESPN there, which sucks. So I want to make sure I got this. I meant to do this before the show, and honestly, I just forgot. So Miss Scoozy. But it's worth. I promise you, it'll be worth it here. I'm just curious to see here, as we all get excited for the days of rest thing here with Michael Lorenzen coming to Philadelphia and going to a 6-man rotation. I am rather curious to see how the Phillies have done with extra rest, most notably Aaron Nola and Zach Wheeler, because those are the two guys you really want to see turn it around. So I have Baseball Reference open. I am on the splits page right now with Aaron Nola, and I'm looking for the days of rest. And on the 7th day, I'll find it. What the hell's bells? Where are you? I know this is riveting. Anyway, did I tell you how Indiana Jones is a top 3 movie in the Indiana Jones films there, The Dial of Destiny? If I didn't, talk amongst yourselves about it for a second. What the heck? Where am I missing this? Oh, my goodness gracious. Days of Rest, Pots and Pans. Ugh. Okay. 6 days of rest for Aaron Nola this year. 525. Wait, am I looking at the right thing? No, I'm not looking at the right thing. Okay, thank goodness. All right, here we go. Again, take 2. Here we go. Aaron Nola on 6 or more days rest. He's had 4 starts this season doing that. He's got a 4.88 ERA. Excuse me, 2. Jeez, Farzetta. 2.88 ERA with 6 days. All right. 2.88 ERA for Aaron Nola with 6 or more days rest in 4 starts. So that's a good thing right there. Let's get to Zach Wheeler. Let's see what Zach Wheeler's got going on there. Let's see if I can do this part faster and not like a bumbling moron. All right, Zach Wheeler on days rest. Keep on going. Keep on going. This is called live research, ladies and gentlemen. It's the most riveting part of your day, I promise you. Live research. Here we go. Yes, Dial of Destiny was fantastic. You should all go see Dial of Destiny. Really good movie. I sound like a sleep app right now. Okay, hold on. Let me make sure. Yeah, okay, this is terrible. Zach Wheeler on 6 days rest. 3 starts this season. 6.48 ERA. So Aaron Nola, 2.88 ERA with 6 or more days rest. Zach Wheeler, 6.48. That is no bueno. Don't like that one. But anyway, hopefully it works with Aaron Nola. as the Phillies seem like they will need that. All right, back to the chat check. April, that play by Stubbs at the plate was fantastic. Never would have happened with that laser throw. It was a laser throw from Bryson Stott. Absolutely. Castellanos says Scooby snack. Yep. Sean Kilrain, absolutely. Yeah, Scoob. I had to mention a while ago, Ray Fitzgerald. I had mentioned a while ago, bat Bohm second and leadoff Stott. Well, halfway there. Stubbs should play twice a week. Be good to rest Real Muto. Ray Fitzgerald, I 1,000% agree with every ounce of that. And yes, you were one of the early goers in Bohm should bat second, no doubt. I Shrine 101. I feel Harper is about to snap the whole month of August. I'd really love that. Sean Kilrain, beef jerky said yesterday, I eat what's good. And what is that? 2 ribeyes. Shout out to the chef. T-Bro. Whoa, I'm top 5? Hey, give yourself some credit there, T-Bro. Top 5, you know what I'm saying? Oh, good point, South Jersey. Well, let's make that clear on the YouTube or the Jacob Media. Never openly complained about being underpaid. He was just asked about the question. Yes, correct. It wasn't like he took to the podium and he was just like, let me tell you about how much my contract sucks. No, it wasn't anything like that. He was asked about it, and he was like, look, we all know what's going on. And it's a business. But above all else, and look, guys that want more money, like the Zach Martin stuff in Dallas, look, I know he's a Cowboy, whatever. But look, you signed a contract, and I know everybody jumps to you signed a contract. But if you go into a workplace, any workplace, it's not just the NFL, but if you go into any workplace, and there's somebody that comes in after you that doesn't have as much experience and is not as good as you, and they're getting paid more, you're not going to like that. And you're going to want to, renegotiate things. Now, maybe you're like, all right, maybe in other lines of work, of course, you're not only going to be playing for 10 or 15 years or 20 years. You're going to be at a job for a lot longer than that, maybe. And it also couldn't all end tomorrow, depending on what injury that could happen to an NFL player. But I understand players that want to renegotiate contracts, especially when a team can just can structure a contract any way they want. Oh, sure. By the letter of the law in the contract, it might be the highest paid player. But in the final 2 years of that deal, they could back out of it. They could cut you. And then you're left instead of $40 million, you're left with $5 million, whatever. Now, I know saying left with $5 million to the average Joe, myself included, isn't like, oh, well, that sounds like a lot of money. But I get it. But also the players that don't make it an issue, the players that just say, it's going to be taken care of, I'm taken care of, it's going to be taken care of. I really do admire those guys. Like I would admire anybody in any business that just leaves that out of it and just does the job. Hassan Reddick just wants to come to work every day. He wants to work his ass off, and he wants to help the Philadelphia Eagles win football games. Like a good TU guy. But yes, thank you for bringing that up, Sean. Definitely worth clarifying there. Underpaid, certainly. It's a non-issue, is the bottom line. Thanks everybody in the chat. You guys are great, as per usual, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, tomorrow's show, we're going to be joined by Barstool Smitty. He was talking about Dom bombs, as in Dave Dombrowski at the trade deadline. So we'll talk about that with him. We'll talk about the Phillies. We'll talk about the Philadelphia Eagles as well, and his expectations for the season. And one of the things the Eagles, starting up with training camp, one of the things I'm most grateful for to the Philadelphia Eagles is that they have removed for the last 2 weeks James Harden from my thoughts. But we will talk about more things being stirred up in the NBA about the Clippers being the only likely landing spot for James Harden and Miami being the only likely landing spot for Dame Lillard. So there we go. So we'll talk about that with Smitty tomorrow as well. But mainly we'll talk about the Phillies and the expectations for the rest of the season. And we'll also talk about the Philadelphia Eagles and training camp and all that fun stuff. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. You guys are great as per usual. My name is Mark Farzetta. This is the Farzy Show presented by Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. Jim Hyde and Produce program did a wonderful job. Thanks, everybody. Be back with you guys tomorrow. See you then.